And navigating the complexities of China's regulatory landscape in a rapidly evolving information and communications technology sphere is a unique challenge. The United States Information Technology Office brings together the world's leading ICT companies to promote the development of the U.S. ICT industry in China. And UCITO will be bringing a delegation from China on June 2nd through 4th at TIA's Network of the Future conference. We're happy to have in our studio today the Managing Director of UCITO, Matt Roberts. And Matt, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
Thanks for being here. We've done this several times. We seem to do it at the same time every year, a few months prior to our TIA Network of the Future conference. You typically bring a Chinese delegation to that conference, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But I want to talk about really the primary tenets of UCITO. And I guess the most important thing is that you strive to make U.S. companies successful in China. What are the challenges there in doing that?
That's a great question. Technology is very dynamic. Technologies are changing very quickly. The policies are changing very quickly. China is one of the largest markets for U.S. ICT firms, and it is undergoing an economic transformation, government transformation. So we're seeing a whole new set of policies coming out of China that have direct effect not only on the market in China, but on the global markets. So in terms of U.S. ICT companies with a presence in China, there are a number of areas where there are market access concerns, some of them couched in very specific things such as testing and certification requirements, licensing requirements, but also new policies in data protection, privacy, cybersecurity, so a whole range of issues in a market access bucket, but also in terms of new and developing policies, trying to find an avenue to provide comments and input into the development of those policies is a huge challenge. China's regulatory landscape is very different than that's here in the United States, and the notion of industry coming together in trade associations and other organizations to provide input on new regulations is still somewhat new. So UCITO plays an important role of developing venues for communication so that we can participate in the development of new policies in the China market. And that is challenging for individual companies, but it's critically important as these new policies are being developed.
Matt, if you don't mind, if we can take one of these market access issues and tell me how a U.S. company can leverage UCITO to navigate around the policy issues on one of these issues.
We try to do three things with our policy advocacy work in China. The first is to be the headlights for industry on new developments, new policies that are coming down the pike. We do that by having frequent meetings with our members, but also having regular dialogue with policymakers in China's government, academic institutions, and think tanks. We bring our members together in 7 different working groups looking at specific issues such as cybersecurity, intellectual property rights, telecommunications, cloud computing, internet, standards and conformity assessment, energy efficiency and environmental protection, trade compliance, so a number of different sectors. And raising concerns through those working groups, UCITO then goes out and develops venues for dialogue. We hold a series of roundtables throughout the year where we bring in experts from our member companies to sit down with the experts in China's policymaking institutions and just talk about best practices, talk about how these different challenges are being met around the world, and look for ways to go forward. And the third thing that we do is when we do have issues on fast-moving regulatory policies, we help provide comments. We develop a consensus advocacy position from our members, and then we submit comments directly to the regulators representing the whole industry.
Matt, UCITO has a good reputation of constructive engagement. First of all, tell me what that means to you, but secondly, tell me about the importance of this Chinese delegation at our own conference in Dallas in June called Network of the Future.
On your first question, it's really important that we address the issues as they're developing by providing fair and honest feedback. Oftentimes there are policies that are coming out of China that are being developed by institutions that have real challenges, critical challenges, not a lot of resources, and oftentimes not a lot of recognition of the impact of those new policies globally. So for us to be able to have those venues where we can sit down with policymakers and provide some substantial data-based evidence of how those policies might affect the development of ICT and China's economy, that's a critical part of what we do. We're very excited. I think this is the third or fourth year now that we have a delegation coming from China to participate in the TIA conference. Typically, this group will be coming from the Ministry of Industry and Information Technologies Telecommunications Development Department, and also the major telecommunications think tank underneath MIIT, which is the China Academy of Information Communications Technology. They have a wide range of institutes in the academy looking at issues like privacy, cybersecurity, data policies, cross-border data flows, and are responsible for policies that support the development of China's telecommunications network. So having them here in the U.S. meeting with the top leaders and executives from leading U.S. telecommunications companies is an excellent opportunity for dialogue, to understand where China's policies are going and to understand where the opportunities might be in China's telecommunications networks.
Matt, TIA knows you're doing great work over there in China. We know it's a challenging job, but it's also a greenfield job where it's constantly evolving, so it must be exciting for you.
Very exciting, very dynamic. We're constantly learning and constantly facing new challenges.
Matt, we'll see you in June in Dallas at the Network of the Future conference, and we know you have a long trip back to China, and you'll be heading back over to us in June, so thank you.
Look forward to seeing you then. Thanks.
Thanks, Matt.